Good morning to all of you. Myself, Professor S.S. Malini, Chairperson, Department of Zoology and Department of Genetics and Genomics. I take this opportunity to introduce our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor G. Hemant Kumar. Sir did his BSc, B.Ed, MSc, PhD from University of Mysore. Sir has published more than 336 research papers in both national and international peer-reviewed journals and presented more than 150 research papers in national and international conferences. He has over 1,442 scientific citation and H Index 21 for his research contribution as of today. He has given invited plenary lectures in a large number of national and international meetings, conferences. Sir has successfully guided 20 candidates for PhD degree and currently 8 students are working towards research degree. Sir has got many major projects by DST, AICTE, UGC and IIT, and also international collaboration with many universities. And he has procured more than 5 crores. Sir has been member in scientific community like Indian Society for Technical Education and Computer Science Society of India and ISCA, Indian Science Congress Association, etc. And Sir has conducted several workshops, national and international conferences, and in view of his academic credential excellence, Professor Hemant Kumar Sir was awarded Millennium Plaque Honor Award and also Upadhyay Samman State Level Award, Teachers Day Award, etc. Sir is successful in designing and running the joint MOU programs between Hungai University, China and University of Mysore and generated funds to the tune of 10 crores. He has academic collaboration with the European Commission of Education, a network research project where 6 premier institutes from India and abroad work together for the project. And he has also had a collaboration with many other universities in Barcelona, Chinese Academy of Science, Beijing, etc. Earlier to becoming Vice Chancellor, Professor G. Hemant Kumar Sir has served at different positions at University of Mysore. He served as a chairperson, then he served as a coordinator for Information Communication Division, coordinator Chinese program, then coordinator in International Center, then coordinator in e-governance and coordinator for high performing computing system. And Sir is invited by many countries as a part of academic exchange and research collaboration, namely Italy, Moscow, then Hungai University, China, Wuhan University, China, then Oman, UAE and Geneva University, Italy. Currently, Professor Hemant Kumar Sir is Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore. So with this brief introduction, I welcome you, sir, to speak about examination reforms in post-pandemic India.
So very good morning to all. I am very happy to be here for this seminar, Examination Reforms in the Post-Pandemic India, which is a relevant topic of the day. I am Professor D.T. Shirke, Dr. Saket, and all other organizers of this committee, and also Dr. R.P. Lokhande, and also Mrs. Padmini, who is the convener of this seminar. So, very, very important aspect of this is we have to evaluate the students whenever they complete it. But evaluation is a process where the student's life and also what we call the credibility of the university will always lies. Whatever the work that we do, finally, with the examination results are announced on time, then that university has got a credit. So this examination is a process where we are following since our British days. So this British days, they had some examination system where what we call a student has to memorize the whole thing and then they had to reproduce. That reproduction of the knowledge, that itself was the examination once upon a time. Now as the things changed, in 1960s and 70s, then annual examination starts. And so once upon a time, I heard that even 1960s, 70s, all the 3 years BSc, they used to study together. Only one examination is to be there on final year for major subjects. Then later on in 70s, we had modified this examination system. We had got the annual examination system. The annual examination system where this examination is to be what we call done by the students once the annual what we call work is annual teaching is completed. There actually we also studied some annual schemes when we were the students, where annual scheme is good to learn and also they enjoy the subject, because in annual scheme teacher has got the liberty to go to the depth of the subject. Once he goes to the depth of the subject, really students understand the philosophy of the subjects. So that's what we observed in annual scheme. But the student has to face the examination. So when the student has to face the examination, he has to put a lot of effort in memorizing the things and also reproducing the things. So that was the concept where the student has to face a lot of problems, because throughout the year what the teachers teaches, he has to reproduce in last 3 hours. So then later on, it was a good system. Even today, what we call, I advocate annual system is good because there is no modularization. Student will have to remember, and what I can say, the total concept of the subject is possible to learn in only annual scheme. Then later on, we just jumped into this semester scheme. In the semester scheme, as we all define, 16 weeks is the classes, 17th week is the holiday, and 18th week is our examination. So this examination is somewhat modularized. Means, you have to remember for that 16 weeks and write it in the examination on 18th week and forget it. The students are happy and also teachers are also happy. But dedicated teachers will not accept it because he cannot go to the depth of the subject. So depth of the subject, whenever we want to teach it, especially at PG level, we have to teach one particular core area where 16 weeks may not be sufficient. So we are fixing for a particular topic, particular hour, so we are going to, means it is somewhat a sort of motivation. It is not totally teaching. We are motivating the students to learn in semester scheme. Then later on, the UGC insisted in 2000 or 2005 or 2010 onwards, all universities should go for credit-based, choice-based system. Still the system became very easy. So what is that? So every semester we divide into 3 components, C1, C2 and then C3. And C1 is one component and C2 is one component, where C1, C2 is not merged, because C1 is an independent component, C2 is an independent component. Instead of conducting the internal test, we are going to call it as what we call the component 1, component 2 and then component 3. Component 3 is what we call the main examination. So teacher has got the independence to give what we call C1 and C2. Really, it is teacher centric and also student centric, what we can say. So both the cases, what happens, student has to learn every day. That is the concept here. CBCS means continuous, what we call this continuous learning system, that is choice based, credit based system. And also student can take any choice of his subject. He can take some hardcore subjects, some softcore subjects, and also elective. The elective also sometimes we call it as open elective, where he takes in the subject, he takes some courses other than any other department. Some of the universities have made this open elective very large, which is somewhere I feel that it is wrong, because we have to take open elective in our connected area. Science students, let us say physics students, should take statistics subjects. Statistics subject students should take computer science. Now what is happening? A physics students will take some what we call a course in journalism or some other courses. At PG, I think it is not advisable. At UG, it is okay. So now national education policy, which is getting implemented, so there the CBCS is more flexible, where a student can take from arts to science and science to arts. The demarcation has been lost. But really, this national education policy is a very, very well defined policy. After 34 years, we are getting this policy. So this policy, when it is implemented, we are going to enjoy it, but the output can be seen only after 5 or 6 years. Now all our educationists, especially teachers, should mentally prepare to go for this. So our today topic is the examination reforms in the post-pandemic. So examination always depends upon the scheme of the subject, scheme in which the teaching is to be done. The scheme of examination, the annual system was different, semester system was different, and the way that we are teaching in CBCS, this itself has got a different type way of examination. Now, because of pandemic, we learnt a lot. Though the system was running for all these years in a way where what we call a defined manner it was conducted, last March when it was closed, almost we are not able to conduct examination till August, September. The reason is, what we call it is well known, but it was totally locked down and other things. So during pandemic, we started using our technology. The technology came to help for using what we call online teaching. So online teaching, where the university like us has got 4 different districts which covers more than 150 kilometers in length and breadth. So where some of the places are very rural, students were not able to catch. So what I can say is around 65 to 70% of the students were able to catch this online examination, online teaching. But other parts of the students where the students who are in rural were not able to connect. So this was the reason, because our university has got one backward district called Chamarajanagar, where the students cannot get their access of the internet, and also the poor students are coming from very poor family. So this geographically in our type of country, it is not possible to make total online education. But still what we made is, once the students came to the campus during this pandemic, only for final year examination we conducted the examination as the UGC directed, and second and first year we just promoted on the basis of C1 and C2. But some of the universities wanted to have the online examination. This online examination system is good, no doubt, but the universities should be what we call somewhat well equipped. So for all these things we need to plan. So because the online examination system suddenly we are not able to take up. In Karnataka, we have got more than 20 private universities and 27 government universities, where government universities are not able to conduct our online examination, but some of the private universities did their online examination. All the students were conducted, though they were in different states, the examination was conducted and proctored in different way. So that is the way that private universities did it. But that system I always agree, but the technology behind it and also the economics behind it will be too large. But at the same time, we want to analyze the traditional examination system. That's what one of your objective of your webinar. So when this analyzing the system is traditional examination system is good, no doubt. When this type of pandemic comes, we have to get transformed from what we call traditional to somewhat the modern or ultra modern system. So in which case, what we call advocate is some new way of examination. What is the new way of examination? Well, both teachers and students should be exposed to that new way. What is that? What is we have when the online examinations are to be conducted, teachers should be well prepared to prepare what we call question bank. Question bank of every subject. If every teacher is ready to prepare 1,000 questions in subject, then we can conduct online by what we call using the softwares, because many examinations are being conducted on software. At the same time, students should be also ready. So both the things were not there when during pandemic system, either student was not ready to take up the online or teacher were not ready to have this question bank. So this was the situation, but we advocated. What we have to do is what I am thinking in both the ways. One is teaching is also to be what we call exercised on online, because both teacher and student, learner and teacher should have the exposure for this. So what we are advocating is, suppose a student teaches 60 hours of class or 45 hours of class, for 10 hours of class, let this teachers to teach on online only. Okay, for every course, 10 hours of class, let this teacher teach online only, so that students will be also exposed, teachers will be also exposed, and technology will be also used. That is what my suggestion is. Second thing is, for online examination, first level, let us not go straight away to the final examination. Whatever the C1, C2 we are conducting at class level, let us test it for that. So if you go for C1, C2 online, but for the examination where limited number of setup is possible, because a student of 60 or 70 students will be there, you can make them into 2 batches and you can conduct the online examination where the students will be also exposed and teacher will be also exposed. So it is really a modern way where to set up a standard examination system. That is what the objective of this webinar, which is the third way, new ways or update our standards of the examination system. So for that, teacher's role is very important, because in every subject, if you want to set up 500 or 800 questions, teacher should think. That should not be repeated. So that should give what we call the things, the randomly the question should come, and all the time objective examinations may be there, but we have to transform. Some places we write, the students will type the what we call answers, based on that answers can be also evaluated. So that can be also what we call thought of. But first level we can think of to standardize this thing. We must implement the new technology for teaching at least 25% in every classes. Second role is examination. We shall start with internal assessment C1, C2 with only what we call the technology, online examination. Later on, we shall try for entire university to conduct online examination, because India, all districts, all states has got what we call its own limitation, because government cannot give immediately the money to set up the whole online examination system. Stage by stage we can go up. So whatever it is, the final thing is the teachers should what we call teach. At the same time, evaluation should be in such a way that it should be, though it is online, at least 30% should be containing the aptitude of the students. It should improve. A student should be improve what we call its aptitude by taking that examination. Second time, around 40% of the questions should be on applications. Most of the time we give the questions like define and what is the thing, how to do it and all these things. So we have to give some problem for our what we have taught. That problem should be solved. Then only what we call teacher, a student can what we call go and expose to the society and solve the problem in the society. Therefore, we must make the student how to solve the problem. So that type of questions is to be incorporated. Means 40% of the questions should be what we call application oriented on the subject that you are going to give, whether it is arts, science or commerce. And 30% of the things you must improve the aptitude of the student in that particular subject. So how he has to improve the aptitude. And third one is another 30% should be somewhat general, what we call a student. Means any examination system nowadays, UGC says that students will not fail. Even if he fails, we will have to give improved what we call version of the examination. Again, you will take improvement examination and pass it. So for that, we will have to see the two ends, because any student, any class will be always having the IQ of the bell-shaped model only. So there is very brilliants are also less, and very what we call the poor students where they cannot reproduce the things are also less. Means always the median, means in between what we call 40 to 65, what we call IQ will be more, where the range in between that. Therefore, we will have to teach to the students for that, and also set the questions such a way that the bright student should also answer, and a student which is slow learner can also answer. So this is what the psychology of the students we have to understand and then teach, and psychology of the students we have to understand and set the question paper. But all the time we have to make the student to expose to the society, and he should be ready to get the job after 3 years of training as a UG and 2 years at PG. Nowadays new national education policy is coming, lot of multiple exit and multiple entries are possible. Therefore, we have to design the syllabus in such a way that whenever the students want, let him take the entrance examination, let him take the examination and go, let him earn the credit wherever that is possible to want. I think after 10 or 15 years, the whole system may go, and we may have what we call centralized system like what we are taking today, GRE and other examinations. Whenever we want, you can appear and some question paper bank will be there, it will come. Like that the system may come. Only thing is we have to teach, and the student will certify themselves by taking what we call online exam, certification courses. So these things may come. So all our teachers has got a lot of responsibility to implement this NEP, and also the post examination reforms in post pandemic period. We underwent lot of agonies in the education. At the same time, the topic that is rightly chosen, examination reforms in the post-pandemic India. So India has faced, especially the total percentage of the population, more than 40% of the population in India is youths. So in that 40%, minimum what we call 25 to 30% or 15 to 20% are studying at higher education. In higher education, we have to think where the student should go. So where we have to make this country somewhat what we call compared to what we call this developed countries, means our education should be somewhat given in a better way. So when the better way education is given, means we have to give the education such a way that students should stand on its own. He need not always go for a job. He may be entrepreneur, or he may be what we call somewhat a innovator. Like that type of students we have to create now, because all the students cannot be innovator at the same time. All the students cannot be what we call entrepreneur. So we have to choose the students based on their choice. We have to give the career to them. Education is not merely transforming the syllabus what is present and just what we call putting in their form. So education is something where it should give the livelihood to the students. So where we then only we can build the India. I thank all the organizers of this seminar from Mahavir Mahavidyalaya Kolhapur. So I'm very happy to associate. Today I have got the meeting with tomorrow I have got the meeting with the DCM and other teachers of ministry at Bangalore. They are at the same time. That is why I am just recording and giving this message. I thank you all all the organizers, and also I wish you all the best to all the viewers and also all the participants of this webinar. Thank you very much. Namaste.